Good evening, friends. And in a lighter vein, पुलिस वारदात के बाद ही आती है. Speaker of this evening, CA Sachin Patil, IPS. My friends on the dais, Joint Secretary Suhas and Convener Kinjal. Friends who are watching this lecture meeting live, or Mitro. This word now has no more remained just a word to address someone, but for certain set of people, it works as a summon that really rattles them. The fact which has emerged is that the entire country has welcomed the decision of the PM in one voice and in national interest, despite a lot of hardships. On very few occasions, we see the top-down approach in Indian politics, where people on the top has taken initiative to curb unaccounted income and money and other crimes associated with it. Coming to cyber crimes, it has been reported an increase of 40% in the past few years with the increase in progress in the field of information technology. As per a survey of 2015, about 7 out of 10 organizations in India are subjected to cyber crimes, wherein about two-thirds of the cases the management's personnel are targeted. Cybercrime attacks are on both the corporates and the individuals. We hear of hacking of email accounts of celebrities and politicians, theft of important data of professionals, and also the incidents of fraudulent credit card transactions on the basis of information shared by none other than the victim himself. There are three multi-reasons why people get victimized, which include: first, unresisting, lucrative but senseless offers showing windfall gains in short span of time. Number two, unawareness of cyber utilities. And three, sheer negligence while dealing in transactions. Without getting into the technicality of the deep-rooted cyber crimes, which the learned speaker, Mr. Patil, will talk on, I would like to mention about certain facts which in my view are one of the root causes of frauds to individuals. Time and again, it has been proved that there is no shortcut in life, but people often try to rewrite this rule. As per verse 21 of chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned, Trivadham narakyasyadham dwaram nasanam atmanah kama krodha tata lobhas tasmad etat trayam tyajat, which means the three kinds of doorways to hell are lust, anger, and greed. Therefore, these three are so destructive to the embodied self, so they must be abandoned in totality. However, the fact is people cannot control their greed and eventually fall in trap which not only brings financial loss but also shakes up their confidence. In general, whenever the word crime comes, there is an obvious image in our mind where the fraudster is a heartless slaughter and the victim is a poor goat. But if we really look at the cybercrime victims, in many cases you will see that actually there exists a foolish goat who tries to eat a carrot tied on her head. Friends, when the human act like a silly goat, there are brighter chances that they will pay heavily for their silly acts. Every other day, we read about many cases where victims have compromised with the sensitive data like credit, debit cards with CVV numbers. Surprisingly, educated people who are all aware and aware of such frauds also fall prey to it. The fact is, despite of so many cases reported about Ponzi schemes, credit card frauds, through telephone calls, and through many such other methods, the moot point I am trying to make is that people still go with their institution that their case is genuine and they can never fall in fraud trap rather than using their reasonable intellectual to see the fraud trap they are just about to fall into. I feel that many cyber frauds are avoidable if the person thinks rationally. Cyber laws, forensic audits, and accounting are now available to assist the victim as remedial measures, and many organizations are now using available tools and techniques proactively as a preventive measure to minimize the fraud risk. With the government thrust on digitization after the demonetization last month, there is more need to look out for cyber security. We have with us CA Sachin Patil, DCP Crime Branch, Crime Cyber Crime Cell, Mumbai Police, to speak on the subject cyber crime, cyber security, and cyber laws. I will introduce Mr. Patil to this august gathering. Mr. Patil is a graduate in commerce. He completed his chartered accountancy and has practiced as a chartered accountant before joining the IPS. He did his probation in Buldhana and his first posting was in Nanded. He worked as aides de camp ADC to the Governor of Maharashtra, also worked as SP Osmanabad district. Before joining as DCP of Cyber Crime CID Mumbai, he was working as DCP Zone 1 Thane City, wherein had conducted various raids against illegal activities like gambling, dance bars, among others. He had an important raid on gambling wherein 350 people were caught in a building near Thane station. He did important work against chain snatching to reduce instances of chain snatching in Thane city. I request you to kindly welcome Sri Sachin Patil. Before I hand over the mic to Mr. Patil, I request our Joint Secretary Suhas Paranjpe to kindly offer a token of good and love and goodwill to Mr. Patil. Mr. Patil.
It always feels good to be back home. I should tender my apologies for being a bit late. But it proves one point, that even police is subject to the vagaries of traffic in Mumbai. तुम्ही presentation setup करून घ्या, तोपर्यंत मी I'll just start off. I'll start off for the things. How many of you have smartphones? I think all the hands will be up. How many of you have put up some screen guard to protect the screen or a back cover to protect it? All of you. Have you ever tried banging it on a some hard surface to see whether it really works? Rarely. Like, this is a hardware thing. We have put up security for the hardware aspects. Have you ever put up some security for the software as well as the humanware aspect of the things? I think that's the thing we'll have to ponder over. Good evening. My name is Sachin Patil. Respected Shri Narayan ji, Suhas Paranjpe ji, Kinjal Shah ji, and my sisters and brothers. Today we'll have a discussion over a topic which is cybercrime, cyber security, and the cyber laws. Before going into the types of cyber crimes, in 10 to 15 years from now, before that, if you have a look about 10-15 years back, how many of you used to have those old mobiles which used to weigh about half a kg? We just had two functions. One is calling or messaging, nothing more than that. Within a span of 3 to 4 years, we started having smartphones where you could access everything, the internet out of your phone. If we extrapolate the situations within the next 10 to 15 years, we are going to have this concept of smart cities, smart houses, smart cars. There is another thing called Internet of Things, which is the basic component of this smart concept. Internet of Things means everything that we use in our day-to-day life will somehow or the other be connected to the internet. My house will be connected to the internet. So what will happen? Before I enter my house, I'll just operate the AC from my phone. कि भैया फलाना फलाना कमरे का मेरे को AC अभी 24 degrees. I want it on 24 degrees. And before I enter my house, it's already on and it's on 24 degrees. I want to just on some lights. मैं घर पहुंचने से पहले मेरे जो बगीचे का लाइट रहेंगे वो शुरू रहेंगे, मेरे हॉल का लाइट शुरू रहेगा. I can just do it from my mobile. Like all your switches will be smart switches. अभी आजकल काफी फोन में वो ऐप भी आता है, एक होम ऐप आता है. There is a symbol of a home from which you can control the apps in your home. यानी आपका वॉशिंग मशीन उससे कंट्रोल हो जाएगा, आपका माइक्रोवेव कंट्रोल हो जाएगा, आपका एसी कंट्रोल हो जाएगा, जितने भी इक्विपमेंट्स है, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इक्विपमेंट्स, दोज विल बी ऑन योर फोन टिप. ये सब इट्स all to facilitate your living, but there is another flip side to it as well. It can facilitate somebody else's living as well by committing a cyber crime. उसी की तरह आपके cars will be like smart cars. They will be connected to the internet. So before entering your car from the office itself, you can start the AC, set on the temperature to a particular point. Similarly, you can regulate some aspects of a car from your mobile as well. कि इसका स्पीड इतना होना चाहिए. ओके, देयर इज अ रिसर्च गोइंग ऑन फॉर ड्राइवरलेस कार्स एज वेल. तो उसमें आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं, यू जस्ट हैव टू गो एंड सिट इन द व्हीकल. यू कैन रेगुलेट एवरीथिंग. बट this technology, there is other negative aspect as well. Somebody can control your car. Somebody can control where you're going to go. But it doesn't mean that we don't embrace the technology. We'll definitely embrace the technology, but take the precautions to see that it's not misused. We'll just have a look at the cyber crimes that we are facing right now. These are the broad types of crimes. The first one we normally see in our day-to-day functioning is financial frauds. Then there is hacking and web defacement. DOS and DDoS attacks, that's denial of service and distributed denial of service attacks. Virus disseminations. Software piracy, which is a big thing for the copyrighted industry. Pornography, fake profiles, matrimonial frauds, and cyber terrorism. We'll go into each of the cyber crimes in a bit details. This is not an exhaustive list. Each passing day, we see new types of crimes as well coming up. But as being myself from the financial field, the first thing that strikes me is the financial crime. ये कैसे होता है, क्या हो रहा है इसमें? The most common type of financial crime that we see is either the lottery fraud or the debit phishing frauds. How many of you are there who have never received any emails from a person claiming that he has somehow found out your email and your one so and so lottery, आपको कोई एक ऐसी $10 बिलियन की लॉटरी लग गई है? लॉस्ट लव भी आता है आपका, कोई ना कोई तो ऐसा जो that's a huge topic. आपका कोई ना कोई तो ऐसा रिश्तेदार पुराने कहीं पे मिल जाता है and he is no more now and उसका लेगेसी इतना है $10 million, it will be transferred to your account. I think each and every one of us has received those kind of emails. This is the start of a cyber crime. मछली पकड़ने के जैसे वो जाल बिछाया जाता है. That's the way it's put. ठीक है, 1 लाख को भेजा तो 1 लाख नहीं, उसमें से 10 लोग तो वापस रिप्लाई बैक करेंगे. That's the tendency of the person who's sending it. Because he gets everything about you उस ईमेल के थ्रू. उसी का एक नया फॉर्म है फिशिंग एंड विशिंग. The emails that we used to receive were in the phishing formats. Phishing is sending fraudulent emails to the victim, compelling him to click on the supposedly any link and thereby getting information about his username, password, transaction passwords and etc. इसमें कैसा होता था? He'll redirect you to another. अभी आपको एक ये ईमेल आ जाएगा कि आपका जो क्रेडिट कार्ड है या डेबिट कार्ड है वो बंद हो जाएगा, and if you want to keep it alive, you just click the link below, you will be directed. तो जैसे आप क्लिक करते हो, आपके बैंक की तरह एक दिखने वाली वेबसाइट रहेगी, मगर ऊपर आप देखोगे तो कहीं ना कहीं तो वेब एड्रेस जो है उसमें कुछ ना कुछ फर्क रहेगा. तो वहां पे आप अपने सारे डिटेल्स भर देते हो, अकाउंट नंबर डैश डैश डैश, इट विल आस्क यू फॉर योर पासवर्ड भी आप भर देंगे. उसके बाद और ओटीपी पिन रहेगा तो वो भी मांगेगा, वो भी आप भर देंगे. और जैसे ही ओके क्लिक करेंगे एरर मैसेज आएगा, सॉरी वेब लिंक क्लोज हो गया, यानी देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम विद द नेटवर्क. But by that time your information is already gone to another fraudulent, to a fraudster who can use it. The most common thing nowadays we receive is these phishing calls. I think probably each and every person in this August gathering must have received a call. सर मैं आपके बैंक से बात कर रहा हूँ. सोनिया मोनिया सब मिलने जाती. In fact, there are many recordings that I have. एक, in case it's okay, I'll just play a recording. Let's hope it's the same, Sonia.
और आपकी गुडविल भी काफी अच्छी रही है सर. इसी अच्छी गुडविल एंड गुड प्रोफाइल को देखते हुए आपके कार्ड पर कुछ सर्विस एंड बेनिफिट दिए जा रहे हैं जिन्हें आप रिसीव करेंगे आने वाले 7 वर्किंग डेज में अपने बिलिंग एड्रेस से बाय कोरियर. ओके, तो राकेश जी आपको क्या दिया जा रहा है और आप उसे कैसे यूज और यूटिलाइज करेंगे उसी की इंफॉर्मेशन देने के लिए कॉल किया गया. बट इंफॉर्मेशन देने से पहले ये कंफर्म करना चाहूंगी जितनी भी इंफॉर्मेशन जा रही है एक राइट क्रेडिट कार्ड होल्डर मिस्टर राशिद सिद्दीकी जी को जा रही है.
यस.
तो राशिद जी एक बार अपना कार्ड निकाल कर चेक कर लीजिए. उसके राइट हैंड साइड बॉटम में आपको लोगो दिया गया होगा मास्टर या वीजा. कार्ड निकाल कर चेक कर लीजिए लोगो किस कलर में मेंशन है.
अच्छा मैडम, आप कहाँ से बात कर रही हैं पहले ये बताइए.
सर मैं आपके क्रेडिट कार्ड सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट से बात कर रही हूँ जो आपके मास्टर एंड वीजा पे सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हैं. ओके, HDFC कार्ड यूजर्स को.
देखिए मैडम, मेरा नाम राशिद है. आपको पता नहीं मेरा नंबर कहाँ से मिला, लेकिन ये जो आप काम कर रहे हैं ना, ये फ्रॉड का काम कर रहे हैं. शायद आपको पता है भी या नहीं पता है, आई डोंट नो. ठीक है, तो आपको मैं सजेस्ट करूंगा ये सब काम ना करें, आपके बेनिफिट के लिए है. ठीक है.
सर आपको किसने बोला गया आपके साथ फ्रॉड किया जा रहा है?
नहीं, मुझे पता है ये आप जो काम करते हो ये आप लोगों को बेवकूफ़ बनाते हो. सो दिस इज नॉट गुड एक्चुअली.
सर आपको किसने बोला राशिद जी कि मैं फ्रॉड काम कर रही हूँ?
मैडम देखिए, इस चीज़ को अगर मैं साबित करना चाहूँ तो भी प्रूव कर दूंगा, लेकिन ये मेरे लिए भी टाइम को वेस्ट.
There is another interesting thing. Like, whenever this person calls you, he gives you two things. One is एक either कुछ लालच देगा या फिर दूसरा थ्रेट देगा. अभी आपने नहीं बताया तो रात को आपका कार्ड बंद होने वाला है. एक दूसरा एग्जांपल था रात को कार्ड बंद होने का.
हेलो.
अजी कौन?
सर मैं बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा से बात कर रहा हूँ. बीओबी से कॉल किया गया था सर आपको.
बोलो सर.
हाँ सर, तो आप आपको मैसेज किया गया था सर आपके मोबाइल नंबर पे कि आप आधार कार्ड और पैन कार्ड आप जमा कर दीजिए. तो आपने अभी तक जमा क्यों नहीं किए हैं?
मैसेज मेरे को नहीं आया है.
तो सर आपको यहाँ से आपको अगस्त महीने में 28 अगस्त को मैसेज नहीं मिला था सर मोबाइल पे?
मेरे को ध्यान में नहीं. मेरा मोबाइल 2 बार चेंज हुआ ना, इसके लिए मेरे को ध्यान से नहीं है. अभी क्या करने का है मेरे को?
हाँ, तो अभी आप एटीएम कार्ड को कंटिन्यू चालू करना चाहते हैं सर या ब्लॉक रखना चाहते हैं?
नहीं, कंटिन्यू करना चाहते हैं.
हाँ, तो अपना एटीएम कार्ड को बाहर कीजिए. एटीएम कार्ड में देखिए तो आपका एटीएम कार्ड में वैलिडिटी डेट कितना है. अभी आपका एटीएम कार्ड रिन्यूअल किया जाएगा. रिन्यूअल करने के बाद आपका जो वैलिडिटी जो डेट है सर, डेट हो जाएगा जनवरी 2035. यानी कि 35 तक आप कार्ड को यूज कर पाएंगे सर. ओके,
ठीक है. तो क्या करना है अभी हमको?
हाँ, तो एटीएम कार्ड में देखिए आपका रिन्यूअल नंबर होगा, चालू करने का नंबर 40298503 नंबर होगा एटीएम कार्ड में. सीरियली नंबर एटीएम कार्ड में देखो.
बराबर देखता हूँ मैं.
हाँ सर,
एटीएम में 40.
हाँ, रिन्यूअल नंबर होगा. वीजा कार्ड होगा तो आपका 40 होगा, या अगर रुपए कार्ड होगा तो या 60 करके होगा सर.
बराबर है. हाँ है.
हाँ, वही नंबर बोलिए सर. 4029 850 नंबर बोलिए. वही नंबर बोलना है आपको. वही रिन्यूअल नंबर है.
तो हम नंबर आपको कैसे बता देंगे एटीएम का?
सर वो रिन्यूअल नंबर है, वो रिन्यूअल नंबर आपको बतानी होगी. ठीक है, तो अभी आपको जो बैंक की ओर से अभी आपको एसएमएस मिलेगा रिन्यूअल होने का. ठीक है सर जी, अगर आपको चालू रखना है तो आप बताइए, अगर बंद रखना है तो मत बताइए सर. इनके लिए मैं आपको कॉल किया था.
हम बैंक में आके करके जाएंगे तो चलेगा कल?
नहीं हो पाएगा ना सर, इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा था ना, क्योंकि बैंक का जो डेट है वो डेट आपका खत्म हो चुका है सर, और आपका जो कंप्लेन है वो आपका हेड ऑफिस तक आ चुका है, तो हेड ऑफिस से अभी आपका रिन्यूअल किया जाएगा। रिन्यूअल होने के बाद यहाँ से आपको न्यू सीक्रेट नंबर मिलेगा, नया पासपोर्ट नंबर मिलेगा, जिसके बाद से आप नया पासपोर्ट से विड्रॉल कर सकते हैं। ठीक है सर जी,
वो बात सही है, लेकिन मैं ऐसे बिना वो अपना नंबर नहीं मैं बता सकता हूँ, कल बैंक में जाके बता सकता हूँ।
तो सर वो आपका रिन्यूअल नंबर है ना, तो
जो भी है बराबर है, वो मेरे को मालूम नहीं है। मैं बैंक में जाके बैंक वाला बोलेगा कि ठीक है आप बताओ, तो मैं बता सकता हूँ। ऐसा तो कल बताऊंगा चलेगा?
सर कल बता पाएंगे तो फिर आपका आज की डेट आखिरी डेट थी ना सर,
तो थोड़ा नंबर कॉल प्लीज, संडे है तो एक बार छोड़ दो, क्योंकि मेरे को है ना, मैं बैंक में जरा इंक्वायरी करके फिर आपको मैं फोन करके सामने से नंबर दे दूंगा आपको।
तो सर बाद में आप नंबर बताएंगे तो नहीं हो पाएगा, ठीक है, क्योंकि आज की डेट आखिरी डेट है, और आखिरी डेट में आपको बीओबी से कॉल किया गया है, बार बार आपको कॉल नहीं किया जाएगा। ठीक है सर,
आपको नहीं करना है, मैं कर दूंगा। आपको नहीं करना है, मैं कर दूंगा।
नहीं सर, नहीं, आप कॉल कीजिएगा तो क्या हेड ऑफिस पे आपका कॉल लगेगा? नहीं कॉल लगेगा, क्योंकि अभी आपको रिन्यूअल करने के लिए कॉल किया गया, वेरीफाई करने के लिए। अगर आपका कार्ड क्या कहीं पे खो जाता है तो क्या आपका पैसा निकल जाता है? नहीं निकलता है। जब तक अपना सीक्रेट नंबर नहीं बताते हैं तब तक आपका कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती है। ठीक है सर,
ठीक है, मैं 1 घंटे में फोन करता हूँ। मैं आपको 1 घंटे में फोन करता हूँ, ठीक है? 1 घंटे तो चलेगा ना?
बोलना है तो बोलिए, ठीक है, अगर बाद में नहीं मैं आपसे नंबर लूंगा। ठीक है सर,
ओके, कोई बात नहीं।
ठीक है, तो मनीष जी इसका अकाउंट ब्लॉक कीजिएगा सर, इसका लेट फाइन चार्ज काटिए 9,999 रुपीज। ये फ्रॉड अकाउंट माना जा रहा है सर आपका। ठीक है,
ऐसे कैसे फ्रॉड मानेंगे आप? ऐसे कैसे फ्रॉड मानेंगे?
क्योंकि सर आप वेरीफाई
ऐसा थोड़ी कि आप 1 घंटे का भी टाइम नहीं दो, फ्रॉड कैसे मानेंगे हम? फ्रॉड थोड़ी है आपकी बैंक से, हम कहाँ से हम फ्रॉड लग रहे हैं आपको?
आप सही आदमी है तो नंबर बता
अरे
दीजिए।
सही, मैं अपना नंबर मेरे वकील के पूछने के भैया मैं किसी भी नंबर में अपने नहीं बताता हूँ, और 1 घंटे में आपको बोल रहा हूँ, तो 1 घंटे भी मेरा 9,999 रुपये काटते क्यों बोल रहे हैं?
सॉरी सर, मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ, अगर आपको अभी बताना है तो
1 घंटे में बताऊंगा। 1 घंटे में कौन सा आसमान टूट पड़ रहा है? 1 घंटे में बताऊंगा, बोला ना।
It's an interesting conversation. He'll try his best to get out those numbers out of you. लालच दिखाएगा या थ्रेट दिखाएगा, ये दो इनके प्रिंसिपल्स है। तो आई थिंक इट्स अ रिक्वेस्ट टू यू एज वेल एज टू द पीपल, यू कैन पास ऑन द मैसेज। चाहे भगवान भी आपसे आके मांगे, ये दो नंबर मत दीजिए, बिकॉज दैट्स द वे दे डिराइव द इंफॉर्मेशन आउट ऑफ यू। ये नाइजीरियन फ्रॉड, लेगेसी फ्रॉड तो काफी सालों से चलता आ रहा है, जॉब फ्रॉड भी उसमें एक है। Normally कैसा है, many of us have our children studying abroad. So what happens, either of the parents thinks that they can stay with the child, work there for some time, and then they can come back. So normally then we try to register ourselves with the various, some registered job profile online services as well as some unregistered ones. So they tend to get your database. You receive a call कि मैं ये job इससे बात कर रहा हूँ, ऑनलाइन जॉब प्रोवाइडर्स के यहाँ से, आपको हम वहाँ पे सर्विस लगा सकते हैं, उसका हम लोग आपको कॉल लेटर भेज देंगे। वहाँ के कंपनी का ऐसे लेटर हेड सब बना के दे सेंड यू कॉल लेटर। तो इसका प्रोसेसिंग फी रहेगा एक 10-20 हज़ार रुपये, वो आप भर देंगे तो वहाँ से आपको कंफर्मेशन लेटर भी आ जाएगा। काफ़ी बार बंदा सोचता है कि ठीक है, इट मे बी जेन्युइन थिंग, भर देता है। फिर वीज़ा प्रोसेसिंग फ़ी, फिर ये प्रोसेसिंग फ़ी, वो प्रोसेसिंग फ़ी, आपका वीज़ा, ये पासपोर्ट भेज दिए, हम सब आपको वीज़ा लगवा के दे देंगे। तो ऐसा करके कहीं ना कहीं आई हैव सीन पीपल लूजिंग अबाउट 20-25 lakhs इन दिस जॉब फ्रॉड। एक ईमेल स्पूफिंग आता है जहां पे आप में से कितने ऐसे लोग लेंगे जिनके ईमेल्स पे ऐसा, नॉर्मली these emails are received by CFOs, yes, कि एक जो एमडी के ईमेल अकाउंट रहेंगे उसी से मिलता जुलता है कि ईमेल अकाउंट से ईमेल आता है, मोर और लेस नाम एमडी सर का ही दिखता है कि आई एम इन मीटिंग राइट नाउ, आई वांट पर्टिकुलर अमाउंट टू बी ट्रांसफर टू अ पर्टिकुलर अकाउंट, कैन यू टेल मी हाउ फास्ट इट कैन बी डन। तो हम लोग को लगता है कि बहुत शायद को, या वे वी कैन डू इट थ्रू एनईएफटी या वो सब। द सेकंड ईमेल कम्स, कैन यू इफेक्ट द ट्रांसफर टू दिस एंड दिस अकाउंट, आई एम इन मीटिंग, गिव मी अ मैसेज वंस इट्स डन। हम लोग को भी लगता है कि बॉस के ईमेल एड्रेस से आया है, तो मे बी बॉस इज इन मीटिंग एंड ही वांट्स अस इफ इट कैन बी डन। हम लोग ट्रांसफर कर देते भी, उनको ईमेल कर देते कि इट्स डन, एंड व्हेन वी लेटर इन द डे मीट द बॉस एंड वी टेल हिम दैट इट्स द ट्रांसफर हैज बीन मेड, क्वेश्चन आता है कौन सा ट्रांसफर है, डिफरेंट एड्रेस पे जाता है. दिस इज ईमेल स्पूफिंग. आई थिंक समथिंग इज ठीक है हो गया. थैंक यू. ओके. In email spoofing, there are two types of email attacks that may take place. One is MIM attack, man in middle attack. Yani the sender sends an email, it's intercepted by a cyber criminal. He makes some changes into the email and it's sent to the receiver. This is MIM attack, man in middle attack. The sender's and the receiver's email addresses remain the same. Only the contents of the emails are changed. From here it's sent to any bank of XYZ 0123 account. बीच में ये बंदा उसको बैंक ऑफ ABC 123 अकाउंट करके आगे भेज देता है. So invariably the account gets transferred to some other account. This happens क्योंकि कैसे है, other than this email communication there is no other communication between these two people. तो हम लोग बीच में वही we were just trying to build some awareness that some SOP with reference to payment systems has to be brought about. And along with this email system of communication, alternative system of communication has to be developed as well somewhere down the line. Because in case ऐसा email आता है, you could have just SMS to your MD कि I have received your in receipt of your email dash and dash, या फिर mark CCs as to all the email accounts of the MD कि वो email के साथ. Fortunately एक ऐसा हमारे पास केस आया था in which such an attempt was made. But since the CFO CC'd all the MD's other email accounts, तुरंत उनको पता चल गया था. That time the amount was 8 crores. So they were quite fortunate enough. The fourth one is the common ATM frauds that we see nowadays. There are devices called skimmer devices, which can record your the data on the magnetic strip of your ATM or debit cards. This is an example of a skimmer device. On the left, we have the normal ATM. On the right is a skimmered one. If you see here, there is a similar keyboard. It captures your PIN number. And this device will capture the data on your magnetic strip. Skimming is the most common form to capture data on your cards. That's seen worldwide. Now we are going into the age of paperless transactions. तो आम आदमी के पास दो मेजर सोर्सेज हो जाते हैं पेपरलेस ट्रांजैक्शन के. वन इज यूज ऑफ कार्ड, आइदर डेबिट, क्रेडिट और ATM कार्ड, एंड द सेकंड वन इज ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शंस. इन दोनों में भी क्या क्या प्रिकॉशंस लेने जरूरी है, आई जस्ट टेल दोज फॉर अ कपल ऑफ मिनट्स. See, whenever you're using a debit card, credit card or ATM card, the first thing is never disclose the PIN or the OTP to anybody. The second precaution is normally what we do, ATM का पिन जो रहेगा वो ATM कार्ड के पीछे हम लोग थोड़ा पेन से लिखते हैं, या फिर कागज पे लिखा जाता है, वो कागज वो कार्ड के साथ ही रखा जाता है जेब में. इन केस वी लूज द वॉलेट, इन केस द वॉलेट इज कहीं चोरी हो गया तो चोर को दोनों मिल जाते हैं एक साथ, your card as well as the PIN, so that may be avoided. तीसरी बात, normally हम लोग business establishments में whenever we go to the business establishment we swipe the card. So what we do, वो कोई ना कोई तो बंदा आएगा, हाँ ये कार्ड स्वाइप कर लो, ये पिन नंबर है, कर लो. This has to be avoided. 99.9% try to see that the card is swiped in front of you. There is a reason for it. क्योंकि बीच में ऐसा हुआ था, some people they used to have this skimmer devices where they used to first swipe your card and then through the that machine. So wherever possible, see that the card is swiped in front of you, and whenever you enter the PIN number, if possible, just cover with your hands, even in the ATMs. Because see, skimmer can just take the data from the magnetic strip. It doesn't have the PIN. But for the fraudster, he requires both the things, the card details as well as the PIN. तो PIN वो कैसे कैप्चर करते हैं? Through a camera, either through a keyboard like that or normally a camera is placed somewhere over the keypad of that ATM, which captures the pin as well. Because unless he has these two levels of security, he won't be able to go ahead. अब एक तीसरा security आ गया OTP का. That's a good addition to the entire system. And this other aspect is the online transactions. Online transactions के लिए nowadays is essential that whatever online transactions are done are through a secured platform. यानी जो भी अपने secured financial platforms रहेंगे. Normally, the normal websites have this address of starting with HTTPS, but the secured payment gateways, they have it in the nature of HTTPS, because whatever in the secured payment gateways, your data is transferred in the encrypted form. क्योंकि अगर ठीक है किसी ने बीच में वो डेटा निकाल भी लिया तो encryption is of a better quality, which helps us to यानी see that our data is not gone into the wrong hands. Then another common form of cybercrime is hacking. So wherein a hacker is able to access your systems or servers passing through your firewalls. In case your firewalls are pretty good, then he is not able to do it. In case there are any loopholes in your system or the firewalls, he is able to do it. Hacking is a big cybercrime. It's been there for the last 15-20 years now. Another important form of cybercrime is denial of service attack, DOS attack. A non-criminal example of DOS attack is the results day of CA exam. जैसे result declare हुआ, everybody tries to access that particular server or IP address. There will be millions of people who will be accessing it. उसके कारण कैसा होता है? Many times the system goes down. That's the exact the work functioning method that's used in DOS attacks. If you ping or if you put many requests to a particular server, which is beyond its capacity to sustain, then we can bring down the server. There is another concept called distributed DOS attack. Instead of attacking from one point itself, the points are distributed over the entire system or over the entire globe. In fact, we had a DDoS attack in Mumbai about 3 months back, wherein we were able to trace the perpetrators of this attack in 10 to 12 countries. European countries, Scandinavian countries, African countries. What happens on the click of a trigger, the particular servers in those countries, they start attacking the server here. And it was, I think, about 100 Gbps per second. That was the rate at which the server in India was attacked. So the server was down for 6 to 8 hours. It was a big internet service provider of the city, but then we were able to bring back the systems. This happened because there was a small loophole in his firewall, which the attacker was able to exploit. But nowadays, because of the good quality of firewalls and the latest updations into it, these attacks have been in control. The virus is the most ancient form of attack on a computer system or any digital system. The other issue is of software piracy. I think many of us know this concept only from the point of view of watching movies or downloading songs. But there is more to it. Pornography is there. Child pornography is a big issue nowadays in front of majority of the law enforcement agencies of the world. And this issue is perpetrated because the social platform, it offers a window where such criminals, they make their presence and they are able to scout for the people. This is the worst thing. Because if you see, these criminals, they use fake profiles. And various social media is used to scout for people. Even in most of the cases that I'll be taking a bit later, shows that criminals are nowadays doing this concept of social engineering. What is social engineering? Social engineering is like identifying your victims from the society. So the most important aspect in that is this fake profile. Fake profiles and hacking and taking control of social site profiles and sending offensive messages through it. In banking and telecom sector, we have this concept of KYC, know your customer. Whether it's physical KYC, documentary KYC, that's a different thing. But at least in KYC, we know that he is the person whose account has been opened. But in social media, there is no concept of KYC. Anybody can open an account by anybody's name. आज अगर आप थोड़ा इधर उधर देखें तो आप हर एक के 2-3 अकाउंट तो मिलेंगे, किस किसने खोले पता नहीं, काफी बार आपके फोटो भी उस पे मिलेंगे. तो this is the main drawback that we are seeing nowadays in the area of social media. Absence of this KYC. So anybody can open an account claiming that he is some 14-year boy, 15-year girl, and can start social interaction. The person who is at the other end doesn't know who's chatting with him, whether it's a 50-year guy or a 15-year boy. This is the main concern for us. In fact, teenagers nowadays, they have chatted with people who they thought to be somebody else, and it had led to some situations where they had some personal chats which led to a big issue later on. Sorry? Currently, Rahul Gandhi also is a victim of this. Yes, it's a hacking of his Twitter account. In fact, yes. In fact, but rather than creating a fake profile, they used his own profile, like the Twitter handle that was created. That was his official Twitter handle. It was used for passing of these all things. I think today we have another person whose Twitter account has been hacked, but maybe he'll file it in London. There's a big matrimonial fraud. Like taking these two aspects of fake profiles and matrimonial fraud, I'll just tell an example. There's a well-to-do lady from, say, a city like Mumbai, who's employed in a multinational, has a 6-digit monthly salary. She's settled down in Mumbai, about 35 to 40 years. She's looking for some prospective groom. Then either on Facebook or through matrimonial site, she sees a person who is interested in him. The person represents himself as a Caucasian male, settled down in London. He is also like well-to-do. He flashes his photographs with Benz and BMWs in the background and showing his mansion out there in London. Then he tells, like, he gets in touch with the lady. During chatting, he represents himself as a Caucasian male settled down there, having just a mother to look after. The mother is after him to settle down, and he somehow got to know about this lady and he's interested in this lady. They chat, they exchange their mobile numbers. The mobile number of the person who represents himself as a Caucasian male is with the extension of London +44. They chat. Then after a couple of in a week or so, he says that, okay, I am sending you an expensive necklace, diamond necklace. He sends a photograph of the diamond necklace on WhatsApp. I'll be sending it by courier. You kindly get it cleared from your customs. So after 2-3 days, the lady receives a call purportedly from a custom officer in Delhi that we have intercepted a parcel which has a very expensive diamond necklace, maybe in crores, and you have to pay a tax on it. So then she asks, like, okay, what will be the value of the necklace and what will be the taxes? So then she is told that the value is in crores and the taxes are about 1 lakh or so. And then the boyfriend tells her, I get it cleared quickly. I have sent it with such love. It's still lying with the customs. So then the customs purportedly customer official gives her a number, account number, in which she has to make the payment. Okay, then she thinks, okay, it's a good thing. She makes the payment. After payment, the very next day, she receives another call. When we have scanned your parcel again, we saw that there are dollars worth 1 crore in it, and this is not allowed as per the law. So you will have to pay another penalty on the dollars as well. She again receives a call from the person. I had sent some dollars for you as well. So you kindly pay the tax whatever it is, and then you can get the dollars converted into rupees and use the amount. She pays the other thing. And once an amount of 10-15 lakhs is gone, then the number is out of reach. During investigations, we found out that this number +44 was being used from somewhere in Delhi. Because of the SIM card is invariably purchased somewhere in the foreign countries and is used in the country itself to defraud people. And the Caucasian male, the person who was representing himself as the Caucasian male, was found out to be a Nigerian person. Because whenever they used to have a word on chat on phone, his voice used to modulate a Caucasian person or maybe a European person. So that's what it turned out to be. So this is the major fraud that we are seeing. There was another case in which the people, they exchanged their private photographs, and the person, he started blackmailing the lady. So in that way we were able to track him down and bring him by us. But this is the way they are functioning. These are just some of the ways in which we can prevent online predators, especially for our children. I think this is more important. I think barring the young crowds, I think most of us are cyber migrants. These people are cyber natives. They were born in the cyber age. Okay, we all are like young at heart. We won't give into that as well. But the new generation is born with the cyber baby with it. During our times, color TV तो दूर की बात थी. Only thing was black and white. इसलिए we gradually came to this era of cyber age. But for them, my niece is about 3 years old. उसको पता है वो बाकी कुछ नहीं करेगी, ऐसे घुमाएगी. She knows how to unlock the phone. So this is the way they are like there. So they are cyber natives. हमारे लिए तो वो काफी दूर की चीज थी. And they know many features than us in the phone. उनके लिए ये जरूरी रहेगा. फीचर्स के साथ भी थोड़ा प्रिकॉशन जो उनके लिए जरूरी है वो है. Like the important thing nowadays is we shouldn't post much of our personal details on social networking where everyone can see it, because our information is for ourselves and for the people we can trust. Avoid the topics related to your gender, age, location, and don't share problems of home and school or college. In these crimes, most of the crimes that we saw, the fraudsters, they tried to target the people based on the nature of discussions they are having. ओके इसका ये लड़की का यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम दिख रहा है, तो वो अपना थिंकिंग भी उस टाइप से ये करता था कि हाउ टू गेट नियर हर थ्रू ट्राइंग टू शो दैट ही इज ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व हर प्रॉब्लम्स. Always take security measures like privacy settings and set the limited view of your profiles. एक ऐड है, मैं वो थोड़ा एक रिसेट करूंगा. हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी होता है, उसको हमने थोड़ा मॉडिफाई किया. हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी नहीं है. It's better to have friends we can trust. No offense to the company that has that ad, but ये disclaimer है सिर्फ. Ignore and delete mails from unknown users, because many times it might have those linkages which will divulge you or which may compromise your computer system. इसके बाद मैं थोड़ा एक apps के बारे में भी थोड़ा कुछ देर के लिए बोलूँगा. It is suggested to hide the personal information, interest, hobbies, family details वगैरह. In fact, the first people who will be happy because of that is us. As I was explaining, the concept of KYC is not there in social platforms. That's the major problem for us. Once you know कि भैया ये profile इसी बंदे का है, and that's यानी वेरीफाइड टिक्ड प्रोफाइल रहेगा तो वो हमारे लिए अच्छा है। क्योंकि अगर आज लोग क्राइम क्यों कर रहे हैं या फिर ट्विटर पे अनाप शनाप बकने का आपका या ये आपको इतना ताकत कहाँ से आता है? बिकॉज यू आर एनोनिमस। मेरे को ढूंढने तक इनको 15-20 दिन लग जाएंगे, तब तक मैं कहाँ चला जाऊंगा। ये एनोनिमिसिटी जो है वो अगर हम लोग निकालेंगे तो थोड़ा कहीं ना कहीं तो उसमें, बट सी एट द एंड ऑफ द डे एज ऑफ नाउ कहीं पे भी दुनिया में नाइदर यूएस हैज दोज ऑप्शंस ना फिर कहीं पे भी ये केवाईसी अब तक बनाया नहीं गया है। सो इट्स जस्ट अ थिंकिंग प्रोसेस दैट्स गोइंग ऑन कि कहीं ना कहीं तो केवाईसी जरूरी है क्या। तो इसमें आप कुछ भी उसमें लिंक कर सकते हैं फिर।
When we get the PAN cards, and so all those money which is put into the account, why we don't catch the branch manager for that?
Yes. ये मैं थोड़ा उसके बाद आई वाज गोइंग टू टेक एन एग्जांपल। वो पहले वाले एग्जांपल में ठीक है, हमने वो अकाउंट ट्रेस कर लिया। एक झारखंड में जगह है जहां पे अकाउंट ट्रेस होगा। इट्स अ स्मॉल टाउन। तो वहां पे हमारे बिकॉज देयर इज अ प्लेस पर्टिकुलरली इन दैट पार्ट ऑफ द कंट्री विच इज नोन फॉर हैविंग द हाईएस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ कॉल्स आउटसाइड फॉर दिस डेबिट एंड क्रेडिट कार्ड पर्पसेस। तो व्हेन वी वेंट टू द बैंक वेयर दिस अकाउंट वाज, वो अकाउंट में से 15 लाख रुपए विड्रॉ हुए थे ट्रांजैक्शन होने के बाद। एंड दीज विड्रॉल्स वर मेड इन सिटीज विच वर आउटसाइड द स्टेट ऑफ झारखंड। दिल्ली में, गुवाहाटी में, कलकत्ता में विड्रॉल्स वर मेड इन दीज प्लेसेस। तब थोड़ा एक फ्रॉडस्टर का एक ये पता चला, बिकॉज सी दीज अकाउंट्स आर म्यूल अकाउंट्स। म्यूल अकाउंट्स में यानी क्या, उस बंदे को 1%, 1.5%, 2% दिया जाता है। उसको पहले से ही बताया जाता है कि ठीक है, आपके खाते में जितना भी पैसा आएगा वो हम लोग विड्रॉ किया करेंगे, यू वोंट हैव द कार्ड्स और कुछ भी आपके पास नहीं रहेगा, और जितना भी अमाउंट आएगा और जितना विड्रॉ होगा उसका 1% आपको दिया जाएगा। इस बेसिस पे अकाउंट ऑपरेट होते हैं। दीज आर म्यूल अकाउंट्स। सो व्हेन वी ट्राइड to check out the details from the KYC documents that were submitted, we found that address was fake. जो घर दिया गया था वहाँ पे बंजर जमीन थी। Secondly, photograph was the only thing which was there of the original person. जो मोबाइल नंबर दिया था वो भी नहीं था उसमें, it wasn't functioning. जो पैन कार्ड दिया था वो भी जाली दिया था। But then when we caught up this person, तब पता चला कि वो एक वहां पे गैंग थी which used to operate, which used to prepare this फर्जी documents. And when I said कि there were two types of KYCs. One is documentary KYC, other is physical KYC. Know your customer आप कैसे कर सकते हैं? एक तो उसका डॉक्यूमेंट देख के और एक फिजिकल देख के। हमारे यहाँ पे फिजिकल KYC बैंक्स करती है कब? जब आपको लोन दिया जाएगा। आपको लोन दिया जाएगा तो आपको 10 दिन में आके दिखूंगा भैया आप है या नहीं। बट अगर आप खाता खोलना चाहते हैं तो डॉक्यूमेंट्री KYC से चल जाएगा। एंड मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द साइबर क्राइम्स दैट we have investigated, we have found that somewhere documentary KYC was not matching with the physical aspects of KYC. फिजिकली वो वहां पे मौजूद ही नहीं था, उसका घर ही नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है। फोटो भी काफी बार उससे मिलता जुलता भी नहीं है। जब आरोपी को हम लोग पकड़ते हैं तो फोटो भी उससे नहीं मिलता जुलता था। तो कहीं ना कहीं तो ये मेजोरिटीली फोटो मिलता है, क्योंकि कैसे बंदे को वहां पे खड़ा करना पड़ता है ना एक बार तो बैंक के सामने। तो फोटो एक बार सिर्फ मिलाएंगे, फिर पता कोई नहीं देखेगा, पैन कार्ड भी कोई नहीं देखेगा। ये प्रॉब्लम आता है काफी बार।
PAN cards, you can make grid PAN cards where no cheating can take place. Grid PAN cards. These PAN cards are plastic cards, so they can duplicate it. But grid PAN cards, you cannot duplicate it.
That's a good option. I think the institute, because there was a seminar in the institute as well on this. I think these suggestions have to be made in. From our side as well, we are making some suggestions with reference to KYC, the concept of KYC. I think the tax department can come up with such innovative things. Some tips for the young netizens. do not share much of your personal information in the chat rooms. कौन क्या कर रहा है? We never know who's at the other end of the keyboard. Do not send photographs of self or family members on net without consulting of guardians. Do not respond to attractive, threatening or cautionary messages. This is all like over the phone also भी आपको जो भी मैसेज आता है कि भाई ये threatening कि आपका ये बंद कर देंगे वो बंद कर देंगे, अरे भाई कोई बात नहीं, मैं जिसको है वो फोन कर यानी बाद में बता दूंगा बैंक को. Never arrange a face-to-face meeting with netmates without proper caution. The people online may not be the same who they seem to be. This is the main principle of cyber. In fact, the existence of cyber is such that दूसरे छोर पे कौन बंदा बैठा है वो हमें पता नहीं है. These were 5 tips for Facebook. वो तो I think like much awareness has been done about it. This is for the computer safety. Now is going to come to that aspect. Nowadays, we'll see a surge in cashless transactions. तो ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन जब हम करेंगे तो उसमें सबसे अहम चीज है जिस इक्विपमेंट से हम लोग कर रहे हैं, इट हैज टू बी अ सिक्योर्ड सिस्टम. क्योंकि देखिए, आपका अगर सिक्योर्ड फाइनेंशियल प्लेटफॉर्म रहेगा तो ठीक है, वो प्लेटफॉर्म तो सिक्योर्ड है, मगर अगर आपके सिस्टम में अगर की लॉगर है तो आपने क्या क्या टाइप किया है वो किसी को जाता ही रहेगा. अब अगर मेरे को किसी का सिस्टम कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना है तो मैं कैसे कैसे कर सकता हूँ. I'll send a Trojan to that system which will store the data. Another common thing is keyloggers. I'll store these programs called as keyloggers in your system which will record all your keylogs. तो उसको analyze करके I can make out like what's your username, what's your password, what all details you have entered. So the important thing is the system that you are going to use, it has to be a secured system. एक अभी see, I'll just touch another important aspect. Everybody has a mobile. This is the most susceptible form of cybercrime. कैसे? Everybody downloads apps. काफी सारे apps हमने download किए. Most common is WhatsApp. What all permissions you give WhatsApp? You give to access everything. You give WhatsApp access to your camera, to your microphone, to your photograph, to your contacts, to your messages, everything, to your location as well. क्यों चाहिए उसको इतना? जरूरी है? ठीक है, WhatsApp तो वैसे अच्छा ऐप है. अगर किसी ने ऐसा गलत सोच करके कोई ऐप बनाया, अगर आपने वो डाउनलोड किया तो मुझे बैठे बैठे आप कहाँ पे जा रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, किसको कॉल कर रहे हैं, क्या बात कर रहे हैं, even that I can track from this system sphere. I think in the entire cyber crime scenario, the most weakest link that I'm contemplating nowadays is the concept of this app. It's the most vulnerable thing. Why? Because all permissions are given. Because वो permissions जब तक नहीं देगा वो डाउनलोड होगा नहीं. बट उसमें एक एस्पेक्ट है, एक बार डाउनलोड होने के बाद यू कैन मॉडिफाई द परमिशंस. सो इसमें जरूरी है कि एक बार एटलीस्ट वंस एक बार देख लीजिए आपने जितने ऐप्स डाउनलोड किए हैं उसको आपने क्या क्या परमिशन दिए है एंड वेदर दोज परमिशंस आर रिक्वायर्ड एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. अगर नहीं रहेंगे डिसेबल इट फॉर सम टाइम. जब जरूरत पड़ेगी वो अपने आप पूछता है. अगर आपको किसी को व्हाट्सएप पे कोई फोटोग्राफ सेंड करना है एंड यू आर ट्राइंग टू एक्सेस योर फोटो गैलरी तो पूछ लेता है कि एक्सेस दूं या नहीं है. अगर वो बंद रहेगा तो, अगर चालू रहेगा तो वो वैसे ही चालू रहता है. तो समवेयर डाउन द लाइन, in fact this is a good thing for the law enforcement agencies as well because criminals के अगर मोबाइल रहेंगे तो उसमें हम लोग अगर कुछ ऐप डालें तो हमको पता चलता है वो कहाँ पे जा रहा है, क्या बात कर रहा है, क्या देख रहा है, वो भी उसमें से पता चलता है. बट दैट थिंग असाइड, एज अ कॉमन मैन it's essential for us that at least my information should not be misused by somebody else. Because many times हम लोग what we do, like any pin number or anything we have, we just take a snap of it. We have our bank accounts, we take a snap of it. Credit card statement comes, we take a snap of it. So in case somebody wants to misuse the app, or if your app is compromised, then the app itself has access to all these things. So all these things are compromised. ये एक छोटा सी चीज था which is still in a developing phase, but अपने को अभी से जानकारी लेके we have to take the precautions on it. Yeah.
You have said that most of the apps, the moment you download them, we will ask you all these host of permission.
Yes.
I think under IT Act also there is that no the developer of those apps cannot force the customer to divulge all those things. So can't there be some situation to restrict this particular type of situation? Because that can go on a long way for prevention of further frauds.
Unfortunately, until now, there is no. But there is a discussion on it. There is a discussion going for Act to like restrict the permissions to some extent, sir.
They are on Google Play Store and all. You don't know where they are and from where they are being downloaded. So controlling them would be a challenge.
Even that's the issue. That's the issue. But I think this aspect of apps and regulation of apps is being taken at the global level itself. Because as of now, there is no restriction on it.
Have a centralized permission system. Centralized way of taking permission. One center where all permissions are taken, so cheating will stop. So we can catch that center which is misuse.
As of now, it's not there. That's the thing. Because whatever apps are being developed, it's being put up on various platforms. Yes, apps. Every individual is trying to develop his own app. Sorry, that's the thing. As of now, there are no controls on it. Sorry. Yes. So that's why I was trying to tell you that at the end of the day, ठीक है, जब तक permission नहीं गई, it won't be downloaded. But once it's downloaded, then I have access to what permissions I want it to continue with. Yes. So in the next couple of decades, I think the main source of any corporate house will be the data that he has. So this is the, if you see, ये कहीं तो gradually उस तरफ जा रहा है. So the thing I was trying to say, you need to control what you give to your apps, sir.
My question is that here don't use pirated software, but I feel that except Tally and 90% softwares are being used pirated. So how does it affect the security, and do you advise for a small businesses like us, a sole proprietor partnership firms, to invest 5 lakh rupees in a genuine softwares?
Regarding the cost of the software, I won't go into that aspect. But many times, see, as CAs, we have learned this particular thing that जब volume बढ़ जाता है, तो cost tend to come down. शायद ऐसे भी रहेगा कि अभी volume ही कम है official इसका, इसलिए शायद cost कहीं ऊपर गया है क्या? That's a point to be pondered. But now, see, the only thing that I was saying that pirated नहीं करना इसलिए because it has its own vulnerabilities. It was pirated based on some vulnerability in the original system. So that vulnerability is carried on as it is. So this can be exploited by anybody. One who has a knowledge of the original systems and the vulnerabilities in it. That's the only thing I was referring to. Update your anti-spyware, encrypt sensitive data, use a strong password, change the password at regular intervals, scan all email attachments, create backups of your files, don't share your password, don't use pirated software. Now, how many of you have a single password for all the accounts? I think 90% of us. We have always learned this important aspect in our syllabus. Mitigate your risks. So I leave it open.
So you can have sub-email accounts, and instead of your main account you keep for business, and the other email accounts you use to find out, go to the details of that. That means you have one email, and out of that you have 2-3 other email accounts. That way nobody can cheat you from your main email account.
In fact, that's what was done. That's the way. In the second example that I told about MIM attack, minimal attack, where the CFO, he intelligently CC'd all the accounts of the MD. So maybe that's an option. But see, with awareness, we will be able to better adopt ourselves. Before that, like, does anybody know the concept of dark net or bitcoins? Bitcoins तो शायद काफी famous है. Because I think the regular net is 5 to 10%. The dark net is 90% of the internet activity. In mobile security, the things is there are various threats that can affect your mobile, because I think many times the most vulnerable thing I find nowadays is the mobile. Unless your apps are well regulated, बाकी कुछ इसमें डाउनलोड नहीं किया है, so it's the best thing, क्योंकि इसमें सब कुछ रहेगा, आपका घर का डिटेल रहेगा, आपके बैंक के डिटेल्स रहेंगे सब. Because मेरे मोबाइल में भी एनी टाइम you'll find about 20 to 30 apps, but at least once in a month I just take a review of which app is there, whether उसको access दिया है नहीं. And there are various softwares as well which are available in the market, which allows you to ban access to all the apps, to all the important things like your camera, your microphone. At least in my case, my microphone and my camera has to be off. I've denied access to all my apps to these two things, and my messages, because there's an interesting aspect to it. Whenever you receive a SMS, before you even read it, a copy of it is sent to the apps. A backup is taken every time a new thing happens, a new change happens in either of the parameters. Any new photograph is clicked, backup हो जाता है. But it's not to scare or do anything. See, with proper precautions, we'll be able to use it in a better manner.
Correct, because on Facebook when you open, they ask you whether you want to post this photograph, and then
Yes.
this photograph is from you.
Yes, yes, yes. Because many times, see, they have access to your backups as well. So you decide कि इसको देना है या नहीं देना. नहीं देना है तो जब कुछ if you want to upload something, it asks you that we need access to this. Then you can say okay for temporary things. Then again block it.
To remove these accesses, you do in settings or you need again special?
No, settings in that aspect as well. See, in they are both. You can use it in both. Through settings, you can just restrict some accesses, but there are softwares which allows you to restrict all the accesses. Yes. Worms may disturb the network by spreading or from one mobile to another through Bluetooth transfer, infrared, MMS attachments. Application download can be virus prone as desktop applications. Spywares that may have entered the mobile phone. And then another main security threat that we see is the Wi-Fi systems. Per se, Wi-Fi systems may not be threatful, but the problem is which person is using that Wi-Fi system for what purpose. That is the main concern for us. Because nowadays we have free Wi-Fi's everywhere, but at the end of the day, there has to be accounting of which device logged into it and for what purpose. For our domestic Wi-Fi's, it's essential to maintain the security of the Wi-Fi. Many of us, I think all of us have Wi-Fi modems at our house. It has to be password protected. If possible, set it to MAC ID. Yes, because that's the best thing. Nobody else will be able to get into it. And that's what we have maintained integral security. Routers should and range of the router should be limited. Always switch off, keep wireless, and MAC ID will be important. I think there was one more slide in this. It's been missed. So there were two Wi-Fi slides. So MAC ID will be important. See, whenever you go to the settings of your Wi-Fi, it will ask you whether you want to set it with reference to MAC IDs. So normally it gives 10 options, like you can put in MAC IDs for 10 times. If you put the MAC ID, only that MAC ID will be able to see and have access to your Wi-Fi router. Per se, router doesn't store much of information. It has no storage capacity. But yes, like the max that you can store, it gives, whenever you put up the settings, it will give like how many devices you want to log in. You have to enter the MAC IDs of the devices you want to access that. right?
If you go to the about option in the mobile phone,
Uh-huh.
you will get the status of the mobile. There you will get your mobile's MAC ID, which you should link with your router.
Was that the question? Where to get the MAC ID?
What's the MAC ID?
Okay. For that, you will have to go to the settings of the Wi-Fi router. That's like normally the make of the Wi-Fi based on that. It's 192.156.1.1. That's the IP address through which you can access your router. 192.168.1.1. See, every router on the base of it, it has the user ID and the password along with the IP through which it can be accessed. So they're going to the wireless settings, and in wireless settings, you will be able to set the parameters as per your requirements. So rather than keeping it open to general, you can specify the MAC IDs of the devices which you want to be logged into it automatically. This is the scenario that we may see in the future. Like there was a common question that was asked. Ki, sir, demonetization ke karan, because we are going for online transactions, have you seen a rise in the cyber crimes? Many people ask it. Then I just tell them the other aspect of it. See, we have restricted our cash withdrawals as well. So, अगर वो cyber criminal वो crime किया भी, he is not able to withdraw it. That's lacuna for him. So कहीं ना कहीं तो I'm seeing a maybe a balance in it. The future scenario that we may see is increase in fraud cases of phishing, wishing, lottery scams, वगैरह. Increase in matrimonial frauds. The latest crime that we registered in cyber police station for matrimonial frauds, we saw cheating to the tune of 1 crore. The lady, she was very well settled. But at the end of the day, somewhere, as I said, threat and carrot and stick. दोनों में से कहीं ना कहीं तो at the end of the day it happens. We could track back 70 lakh, but see, the issue is I can freeze the amount only until it's in the banking system. If it is reported late to us, by that time the cash leaves the banking system, and when it leaves the banking system, it goes into cash form. It's quite difficult to track the person who's withdrawn it and the movement of it. Until it's in the banking system, I can freeze it. There was another fraud wherein about 12 lakhs left India into some other bank account. Fortunately, the very next day the person came to us. So we were able to freeze entire amount of 12 lakhs, 12 crores. As I said, the time gap between the offense and the reporting, that will be the deciding factor. The earlier he comes, the better we are able to take action. That's right. That's what we are seeing nowadays. One employee, let's take for example an ex-employee called X of a particular corporate house. He's on the verge of retirement, or maybe he voluntarily resigns from the organization. But while going off, he takes the entire sensitive data of the corporation in his pen drive. This is caught in the CCTV as well, and in the machine as well, wherein it shows that particular number of files were transferred to this drive which had this ID. So such types of cases are also coming off.
Litigation is pursued against them by the government of India, or in any case they are able to support that, because once they are off, because they are on the last day they are going off, they know nobody will listen to them in the company or the government. So whether taking that data is right or wrong. Number one is the question is that, and how can it can be used as a false case against employees who has joined a rival company.
Yeah.
In my view, it is the only responsibility of the company to safeguard the data, and an employee has to just work on it. So these are two answers.
Okay. Um, I'll just qualify it to some extent. The data which has commercial value outside. Yeah, you said rightly that it's the responsibility of the company, but the employee was employed there in a fiduciary capacity, and only through that position he was able to access that data. Watchman doesn't have access to your sensitive information. Only that person, because of the post on which he was sitting and being that capacity of fiduciary in which he was having access to it. If he misuses it, then it's attracted. The second aspect is quite important, to take Xerox of your important notings. But the only aspect is you can't take Xerox of the entire notings, you can take Xerox of your own notings because I made it. That's the point. Data leakage is a big issue. Change of banking details by intercepting emails, conversations, as I said, the MIM attack, man in middle attack. Change of banking details, which can lead to the victim depositing the money into a fraudster's account.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What you said, protecting the data. The company where I used to work, they, whoever you are on the post, in whatever post, all the USB drives are blocked. Only when you are taking it for a certain meeting, the laptop, then only one of the drives was open for the sake of presentation or something, where to put the presentation
Yes.
flyers and all those things. Otherwise, all the USBs are always blocked.
I think that's a very good strategy. Many of the companies, I think, they are following that strategy. Yes.
No, not being in IT, also we used to follow them.
Because I think many companies from the banking sector, telecom sectors, to protect themselves, these are the precautionary. As I said, मेरा फोन है, इसको मैं कितना प्रिकॉशन लूंगा वो मेरे ऊपर है. Now we'll go into the other aspect of cyber laws. What is the legal setup in the entire thing? I hope I can overshoot. Okay. Cyber laws में the important act which deals with cyber crimes is the Information Technology Act 2000. उसमें amendment 2008 में हुए थे. Some aspects were added. I think
Spreading virus and war.
there is an issue of language interpretation, font in fact, because the words that are seen as Latin here were in Marathi as well. So, okay, but we have the main aspect of it. Hacking is covered under section 43A 66, and the other one is, the other table is IPC. This is Indian Penal Code, and this is the Information Technology Act. So hacking per se is covered under 379 of IPC and 406, along with 43A and 66 of IT Act. Data theft. Data theft is covered under 379, that is theft, 420, because of misuse for financial gains. Yeah. In fact, I was just thinking of that aspect a couple of minutes back. I was just thinking whether I should introduce that aspect because it will open a can of worms. See, we hear that some banking sector players, they replace their debit cards. I think many of you must have received SMSs or messages from your banks that change your PIN numbers. Without going into the specific details, I'll just tell you a brief background of what happened. Somewhere in the month of May or June, a couple of ATMs, they were compromised in such a manner, of a particular company, they were compromised in such a manner that both your card details well as your PIN details, they were retrieved by a fraudster. Normally what happens, if you go into any ATM and put in your card, firstly, the first check is of whether your account number or your card number is valid. The answer is yes or no. In case it's yes, it receives a yes. Then the second step is you enter your PIN. It goes through a second secure line to check whether the PIN that you have entered is correct or not. So it gives a yes. Then you go to the next steps of financial transactions. Compromising both these channels is quite difficult. But in one specific case, the perpetrator was able to compromise both the channels. Perpetrators were able to compromise either of the channels because दोनों coordinate करना बहुत मुश्किल था. कहीं उसको सिर्फ क्रेडिट कार्ड का इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल जाता था, उसका भी कुछ फायदा नहीं जब तक पिन नहीं है. कहीं सिर्फ पिन मिलता था, ये पता नहीं होता किस क्रेडिट कार्ड का पिन है. तो ड्यूरिंग दिस मंथ ऑफ May June, the perpetrator from outside the country, they were able to compromise both these things. So he was able to get the card details as well as the PIN details. And he was able to correlate the card details with the PIN details कि इस कार्ड का ये पिन है. So then what some banks thought कि दोनों गया है ना, दोनों में से अगर एक भी चेंज करेंगे तो उसको कुछ फायदा नहीं. So then they started sending you SMSs that kindly change your PIN within the next 24 hours. Because nobody knew किसका क्या कॉम्प्रोमाइज हुआ था. देखिए, एज अ गुड बैंक मेरा सब सिस्टम सिक्योर रहेगा, बट मेरा जो एटीएम कार्ड है वो कोई भी जाके कोई भी एटीएम पे चला सकता है. क्योंकि पहले ऐसा होता था कि मेरा एटीएम सिर्फ मेरे ही इस पे चलता था, एटीएम डिस्पेंसर पे. एट दैट टाइम माई सिक्योरिटी वॉज स्प्रेड अक्रॉस एवरीथिंग. मेरा एटीएम भी सिक्योर होता था, मेरे बैक एंड सिस्टम्स भी वो सिक्योर होते थे, मेरा डेटाबेस भी सिक्योर होता था. बट आज कैसा है, मेरे सिस्टम्स तो सब सिक्योर रहेंगे मगर मेरा कोई कोऑपरेटिव बैंक के एटीएम पे भी जाके वो चला सकता है. So I don't know about the security aspect of that cooperative ATM. तो ऐसा ही कहीं से वो अगर वो एटीएम सिस्टम अगर अच्छा नहीं है तो वहां से भी डेटा लीक हो गया विदाउट माई विदाउट एनी यानी मेरे किसी गलती की विदाउट इट द डेटा वाज कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड. तो दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंड. सम ऑफ देम दे चेंज्ड बोथ, कार्ड भी नया पिन भी मिल गया आपको. इट वाज बिकॉज ऑफ दैट. This aspect as of now is being reviewed at the highest level by RBI क्योंकि ये इतना बड़ा तौर पे हुआ था. And there were many banks which were affected by it. Some of the banks which with the best of security in terms of data security, they had the best of security equipments in the back, but उनके कस्टमर का भी हो गया. तो at the end of the day आज बैंकिंग सिस्टम इतना इंटरलिंक्ड है कि जब तक सबका सिक्योरिटी अच्छा नहीं होता है तब तक कुछ ना कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. So now there is a thinking at the highest level to look into all these aspects. Excuse me. But as you rightly pointed out, customer का कुछ गलती नहीं है, बैंक का भी कुछ गलती नहीं है, but still this happened. That was the collateral damage that the banks had to suffer. In many of the cases, the banks they refunded the amount of the customers. उस केस में ऐसा हुआ है, there is a in fact, there was an acquaintance of mine. She never left India. She never, in fact, left Mumbai. Her amount was like her card details were used to do a transaction in China at around 3 o'clock in the morning, and at 4:30 they were used in Dubai. तो कहीं ना कहीं तो बैंकिंग सिस्टम भी ये रेड फ्लैग नहीं कर पाया कि कंसिडरिंग द ज्योग्राफिकल डिस्टेंस हाउ कैन अ पर्सन फिजिकली डू ट्रांजैक्शंस एट दीज प्लेसेस. तो रिकमेंडेशंस हैव बीन मेड इन दैट एस्पेक्ट एज वेल. सी 99% ऑफ द पीपल हु यूज द कार्ड्स हम लोग वो इंडिया में ही यूज करते हैं. वी रेयरली गो आउटसाइड. मगर दिस कार्ड्स हैव एक्सेस एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड. वैसे सिम कार्ड का नहीं होता है. Our SIM card is restricted to our country. If you want to go out of the country, they give you that window of whatever requirement you have to get it into an international facility card. उसी टाइप में एक ये चल रहा था कि whether most of the cards rather than making it an international card, whether it can be restricted to physically. But card has another aspect to it. whichever card you see, it's either of these two companies, either Visa or Mastercard. तो उनकी वजह से they having the global presence, ये कहीं ना कहीं तो डिस्कशन का अभी उनपे टॉपिक चल रहा है कि हाउ कैन इट बी सेफगार्डेड मोर. तो इसलिए जब भी वो फोन पे आपने सुना रहेगा, हाँ आपका कौन सा कार्ड है वो बताइए, वीजा, हाँ तो वीजा का उसको पहले 4 तो दोनों के यूनिक है तो वो पूछेगा पॉजिटिव. इस बंदे को भी लगेगा अरे इसको शायद ही नोज द स्टार्ट ऑफ माय कार्ड. तो दिस इज द वे fraudsters are using it.
So one solution to it can I give? That you put your PIN card to remove the money. So you, as you put your PIN card in, you also to take out the money also you require a PIN. You make it that way. You enter your PIN card, you put a PIN. To take out the money also you put a PIN. That way it will be stopped.
I think the banking sector has to be suggested about it. I think it's a valid suggestion. In case. Then the crime of spreading virus and worms. Then damaging any computer. I have my computer. It's in on state. एक जाते जाते बंदा आएगा, उसमें आएगा, डेटा देखेगा और जाएगा. Whether it's a crime. As per 43, it's a crime. My computer resource can't be accessed by anybody else without my permission. A disruption of any computer network, 43E and 66, and denial of service, DOS attack जो है, that's 43F and 66. Nowadays, most of the common form of attack that we are experiencing is this called ransomware. Has anybody of it experienced it? Most of us. Bitcoins. In fact, वो तो they know all these things.
Encrypts all your files and then says that you pay so many Bitcoin.
It's a ransomware. Ransomware यानी क्या? आपको रैंसम रखेंगे, आपका डेटा आपको चाहिए ना, ले लो. मगर there is another aspect to it. How does the ransomware enter your system? In fact, they find the they can be through anything. Either a worm through your email, या फिर they find a loophole in your firewalls. छोटा सा कुछ सस्पिशियस यानी इनकॉन्स्पिक्यूअस आपको मेल भेजेंगे. एंड जैसे मैंने कहा था ना, आपका सोशल इंजीनियरिंग करेंगे, वो देखेंगे आपका हिस्ट्री क्या है, सर्च हिस्ट्री क्या है, आपको क्या अच्छा लगता है. इफ यू लाइक फ्लावरी प्लांट्स, तो एक फ्लावर प्लांट का ऐसा फोटो भेजेंगे, गेट एक्सेस टू इट. सो देखिए, देयर इज अ बिट ऑफ रिसर्च गोइंग ऑन बिफोर ट्राइंग टू like defraud you.
In our case, we got IT mail from IT department, and people thought genuine email.
Yes.
Opened it, moment they opened it.
Everything goes like ये जैसे दिख रहा है ना, ऐसे दिखेगा. Maybe this was an example of ransomware, and you can't make out what it is.
How many Bitcoins did you pay them?
No, nothing.
Nothing. See, even if you pay the Bitcoins, you won't get it.
How you retrieved your data? We had backups. So we have regular backups. So we already had backups. So what we did was we deleted all these things, formatted the machine, deleting them from network, and then once we formatted everything, then we restored the backups. So maybe morning से 2-3 घंटे का data गया होगा, but still yesterday data was all there.
And the good thing is the backup was independent of these systems. मैंने एक ऐसा corporate entity देखा है जिसका main system was networked to its backup system. The worm entered the main system, network के through it entered the backup as well. तो ना ही main system का data मिला, ना ही backup का मिला. ये एक थोड़ा अपने को precaution लेना बहुत जरूरी है कि your main system, the data storage should not be linked directly to a backup storage to any networks. It has to be independent. और अगर even if it's हाँ it's your wish. अभी काफी बार हम लोग cloud based storage कर रहे हैं, मगर जब storage हो जाता है, cut off the links. रैंसमवेयर में आजकल रैंसमवेयर के जो ये सॉफ्टवेयर्स है, दोज आर इजीली अवेलेबल ऑन द नेट. फिर आपको कितने बिट का इंक्रिप्शन करना है वो वहां पे आपको सिलेक्ट करना पड़ता है, चार्जेस देने पड़ते हैं. डार्क नेट पर तो ये आसानी से सब कुछ मिल रहा है. तो जब रैंसमवेयर आता है तो आपका पूरा सिस्टम ही इंक्रिप्टेड हो जाता है. एंड इट्स आइदर यानी 156 या हायर लेवल का इंक्रिप्शन रहता है. उसको डिकोड करने में काफी टाइम निकल जाएगा. तो रैंसमवेयर से बचने के लिए जैसे मैंने कहा कि आपका सिस्टम जो है Not only the hardware, even the software has to be kept up to date and secured. वो कैसे सिक्योर करना है? फायरवॉल्स डाल के, एंटीवायरस डाल के, एंटी हैकिंग टूल्स डाल के, दैट्स योर ऑप्शन. एंड देयर इज एन इंटरेस्टिंग एस्पेक्ट कि वो रैंसमवेयर में बिटकॉइन पे करने के बाद भी आपको क्यों प्राइवेट की नहीं देता है? क्योंकि इफ ही डिस्क्लोजेज दैट प्राइवेट की टू वन पर्सन, उसका मेन जो ये है वही खत्म हो जाएगा, धंधा खत्म हो जाएगा. और वो भी काफी बार आपको ज्यादा पैसे नहीं मांगेगा, 10,000 मांगेगा, 20,000 मांगेगा. वाई? यस, यू विल पे एंड ही बिलीव्स इन वॉल्यूम. ये रैंसमवेयर वो 10 लाख लोगों को भेजेगा, हर एक से 10-10 हजार रुपए मिला तो भी चलेगा. ये उनका थिंकिंग चल रहा है. डेटा डिस्ट्रिक्शन, डेटा डिस्ट्रिक्शन का मेन आजकल दिख रहा है वो रैंसमवेयर ही दिख रहा है कि जितना भी आपका डेटा वो सब डिस्ट्रॉय करो, यानी एनक्रिप्ट करो. आप रैंसम दोगे तभी आपको डेटा मिलेगा. देन देयर इज डिस्ट्रॉइंग ऑफ कंप्यूटर सोर्स कोड. देन सेंडिंग ऑफेंसिव मैसेज थ्रू कम्युनिकेशन डिवाइसेस. 66A पहले था, अभी रिमूव हो गया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट के बाद. फिर थेफ्ट ऑफ डेटा, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिग्नेचर्स, पासवर्ड और यूनिक आइडेंटिफिकेशन थेफ्ट, दैट इज कवर्ड अंडर, यानी माई यूनिक आइडेंटिटी इज व्हाट, मेरे फोटोग्राफ्स, मेरे सिग्नेचर्स. ये कोई अगर मेरे सारे डिटेल्स लेके मेरे जैसे प्रोफाइल बनाए तो दैट इज आइडेंटिटी थेफ्ट. साइबर टेररिज्म है, ट्रांसमिटिंग ऑब्ससीन मटेरियल, पोर्नोग्राफी है, चाइल्ड पोर्नोग्राफी है, प्रोवाइडिंग रॉन्ग इन्फॉर्मेशन टू कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी, ये एक है 71. एंड ब्रीच ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी एंड प्राइवेसी. This is a family that we'll see. Cyber immigrants versus cyber natives. The children are the cyber natives. Thank you.
Yeah. 5 minutes will take some 2-3 questions. Fatafat. I'll request you take the mic, then speak.
No, most of us know that these are all fake mails. No. Information being
Definitely, proactive measures are also being taken. Since the topic of mail has come up, for emails, every one of us can track from which place the email has come up. See, the old system was we used to have post offices which used to put their stamp. अगर एड्रेस ने अपना पता लिखा भी नहीं होगा तो भी फ्रॉम द स्टैम्प वी कुड मेक आउट कि ये बॉम्बे से पोस्ट हुआ है, कलकत्ता से पोस्ट हुआ है. सिमिलरली इवन फॉर ईमेल्स दे आर प्लेस स्टैम्प्स. कौन सी जगह से वो ईमेल इनिशिएट हुआ है, कहाँ कहाँ ट्रैवल होकर अपने पास आया है, every place puts its own stamp on the email. Whenever you do header analysis, that is in fact the way investigation is done as well, that we can just track the original IP from which the email initiated. In most of the cases of such legacy emails that you receive, you will find that the countries turn out to be different from which the legacy is supposedly shown to be there from. He says London में ये हुआ है तो ये भेजेंगे, and the email is tracked down to be from South Africa. The other aspect is, see, as of now, policing the cyberspace is quite difficult. Let's be practical about it, because cyber world has no boundaries. This email, it originates from somewhere outside the country. It comes down here. To even to track down the people there, many times the procedure that's taken, it goes into many months. There's another aspect. एक transnational crimes हम लोग, I'll just touch a bit of it. In case of transnational crimes, in case we know that the perpetrator is there in this country, say country X, which is outside our country, even if we want any information from him, then we have to approach it through the embassy or through the central authority of that country. Like in our case, it's the MHA. In a country like say US, it's the Department of Justice. So any information you want from their soil, it has to be routed through the official channels. So many times, even if we want the information from a particular server, let's take Twitter server. So then we need that information from the server located in that particular country. Yes. I think that's only by going on to that link, but the best strategy is avoid such links. Just check from which source it's generated and the authenticity of that source. Because yeah. See, कोई problem नहीं है. No, it will depend. It will depend from the source from which that link has originated. अगर मेरा institute के यहाँ से अगर कुछ आया है, तो मैं थोड़ा I can say that okay, it's a secured link, और वो कोई ऐसा वैसे जगह पे जाएगी नहीं. Normally कैसा होता है, even if you go to a particular place, until you do particular act, आपका डेटा नहीं जाएगा. Just going to that link is okay, but उसके बाद वो आपको पूछेगा भी हाँ ये क्लिक करो. Avoid it. Country wise. It's a country wise address.
Any Android device, you have to register with gmail.com.
For app download.
Not only app download, even if you want to register it, if you want to run that app, whatever app, whether it's WhatsApp or the Google app or whatever, you have to have the Gmail ID, then only it will function, right? Now the gmail.com, that exactly the server is located, whether it is in India or it is in America or somewhere else. If it is, let's say it is in America, then why can't our government have such scenario wherein this data can be stored in India itself? You got that? That means it should be either gmail.com, let's say gmail.in. Why not for Indians? It should be gmail.in, and the server has to be located in India itself. So whenever is there any data you need, Indian government needs, they can access directly from the India. Presently what happens now? Any data goes to the US server. Even the registered email ID of the government officials are gmail.com. It's not .nic.in or .vic.in. nahi. Many government officials email ID, that means all your documents, whatever secret documents or non-secret documents, it is there on that server, not in with us. So whether Indian government is taking such action wherein this data will be stored in India itself and the government will have the complete access.
Going to the other aspect first, like most of the government communication has now been shifted to the NIC servers, because those are our in-house servers, and and the security levels are far better than any other server. The other aspect of where the server of the service provider or social media person is to be located, I think many times there are the economic aspects or the profitability aspects as well which come into consideration. अभी इसमें काफी बार ऐसा भी हुआ, like there was an incident about 2 months back. FBI wanted iPhone to give them code to their mobiles. कोर्ट में केस चल रहा था. By that time, SBI was able to crack the code and open the iPhone. So this is what happens. Definitely. In fact, there are international guidelines for terrorism acts within 24 hours. That service provider has to provide us the information, and these are accepted by.
Is with the concept of trends, where they show what topics are currently being trended. So now what lately is being found that these trends are doctored.
I won't go into the commercial aspect of it.
Sir, one, and then second one. So even in WhatsApp, we keep receiving many forms of messages. During the murder of Bruhanwani, that propaganda was said that he was a martyr. And then even during the demonetization, these messages were sent that 2000 rupee note has a chip in it that can be tracked by government. So my question is, how do you plan to control those aspects? So this setting up of propaganda.
Uh, I'll bifurcate these things into two aspects. Those contents which may have a bearing on the security of the country or on the society, the general well-being of the society, the law and order in the society, those are covered under the act, and we can block them. There is an authority in every country called CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team. In India, we have CERT-in, that is India, CERT India. It can block access to all those web pages, websites which transmit such information which may jeopardize the security or the law and order in the state. Now coming to the other aspect, कि काफी बार opinions आ जाते हैं. We are in a democracy. इतना ही कहूँगा मैं. Everybody has a right to put off his opinion, but उसी के साथ उसके responsibilities भी है कि he doesn't hurt the sentiments of the other.
So I had two questions. The first is about the hacking attempt in respect of the Bangladesh National Bank, where it was almost like $1 billion. Now you said that as long as the funds are in the banking system, you can freeze them. Now in that, assuming, I mean, despite that they could get, I think, somewhere like 80 or $100 million. So how would those funds have been taken out of the system? Because obviously the hackers' plan also would have been to take them out of the system as soon as possible. And second question is about the very first case under the Information Technology Act, in case of where the CEO of eBay was arrested. So now there is something where, I mean, it was obvious, everyone knew that he is not the culprit, and yet he could be arrested. So is there any update in the sense that today, how can one avoid that kind of a situation or not? And about ATMs, I just wanted to maybe add a couple of points or supplement the suggestions which you gave. That even while covering up the keypad, because I think there are some even infrared cameras can be installed. So if you are using your finger, then that with the heat map, fingers. Yeah, with the heat map. Fingers. No, so instead of that, one can always use a pen or pencil or something like that to punch the keys. And the second suggestion which I had read was that as far as possible, use an ATM which is next door to the bank, to the branch, because there are lesser chances of the schemer being installed.
Validations. The first thing that was there was the crime in Bangladesh bank. International financial transactions are quite complex than our within nation transactions. In that case, the international clearing mechanism was exploited. And the person who must have perpetrated it knew about the banking system as well as the IT systems, how they work. So that's what had led to that aspect. Now I think the investigations are still going on in that thing. But that had one impact on us, that even our banking system, it started giving a thought to that how the vulnerabilities they were exploited. That was one thing. The other aspect of ATMs. ATMs may every new day the skimmers come up with new things. As I said, even the pads, they have thermal imaging. What happens when you press the keys with your single finger? With every click, the temperature of your finger rises. So by thermal imaging, they can see which key was pressed first, which was pressed second, third, and fourth. So then there was another suggestion to it that press different keys with different fingers. उसको पता नहीं चलेगा फिर कौन सा की पहले मैंने दबाया था. As he said, you can use your pen as well. Sorry, I forgot the second question. eBay. Because there was a half an hour seminar, about this banking scam with reference to Bangladesh Bank itself.
Last question.
Now about eBay, I'll just say, in eBay what happened? See, you have your own. अभी आपके दुकान में आपका दुकान है ये. आपके दुकान पे कोई भी आके अगर कॉन्ट्राबैंड यहाँ पे रख के जाएगा, कोई चरस या फिर यहाँ पे कोई रख के जाएगा, तो डोंट यू हैव अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू सी दैट नथिंग इलीगल इज बीइंग सोल्ड फ्रॉम योर शॉप. आप ऐसा तो नहीं बोल सकते कि आई हैव जस्ट मेड दिस स्पेस अवेलेबल फॉर पीपल कैन कम एंड सेल वॉट एवर दे वांट. कहीं ना कहीं तो ये यूएस का केस था. दिस एस्पेक्ट वाज लुक्ड इनटू इन दैट केस. ऐसे क्रेगलिस्ट बोल के है, उसमें भी अ माइनर वाज पुट अप, तो उस केस में उनको भी अरेस्ट हुआ था. सो दीज आर एस्पेक्ट्स वेयर इन सम रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज बीन ब्रॉट इनटू.
On the similar lines, like online transaction, there is ultimate beneficiary. So even in case of ransomware, if someone is claiming some money, so ultimately it is getting transferred to some account. So why can't we track that, or is there any other issue lying with that?
इसीलिए वो bitcoins में मांगता है. Many in 99.99% cases, the ransom is asked in bitcoins. Bitcoin system is quite difficult to track. Similar to the currency we have in our country, the dark web, like similar to the our underworld, there is a under web as well. Its currency is in the nature of bitcoins. Like I think today one bitcoin will be roughly around 49 to 50,000 rupees. So if they demand you for one bitcoin, it's like 50,000 rupees of ransom they are asking. And bitcoin is based on this ledger system, which is a blockchain system. तो and एक बिटकॉइन का आपको फ्रैक्शन भी मिलता है, 0.1 बिटकॉइन, 0.2 बिटकॉइंस. जितना अगर आपको 50,000 का एक बिटकॉइन है, तो अगर आपको 1,000 रुपए किसी को देने हैं, तो दैट फ्रैक्शन ऑफ बिटकॉइन यू कैन ट्रांसफर. उसको वैलेट्स, like all these bitcoins, they are stored in the wallets. It's not physical currency. Another aspect of it is there is no mechanism like a central bank which regulates this thing. It's based on peer-to-peer networking.
Thank you, Mr. Patil, for the excellent presentation. You covered various types of cyber crimes, the need of KYC on social platforms, prevention measures of cyber crimes, tips for young netizens, future scenario of cyber crimes, and legal provisions for cyber crimes. One thing you mentioned was to modify the permission while using apps. I think everybody will start doing it today. And you readily answered questions raised by the participants here. One thing is clear, the name Sachin is always a master. He used to raise his bat, and Mr. Sachin Patil raised red flags in cybercrime. I am happy to present a photograph of today's meeting to Mr. Patil. Please wait for 2 minutes. I request Kinjal to make a few announcements and propose a vote of thanks.
Good evening, friends. Friends, as we come to the close of this lecture meeting on cyber crime, cyber security, and cyber law, it is my pleasure to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of this August gathering. On physically present here, as well as a lot of them present online who are watching this webinar being webcasted live. I think it's more than 50 people who are as of now watching it live. Uh, to the learned speakers here, Sachin Patil, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Cybercrime Cell, Mumbai Police. Sir, it is a momentous occasion and indeed our privilege to have you here at BCAS. Your coverage provided an insight into the types of cyber frauds like phishing, wishing, Nigerian lottery frauds, email spoofing, ATM frauds, matrimonial frauds, wide variety of security on social media, Wi-Fi security, and you also touched upon the legal provision of the IT Act and the Indian Penal Code dealing with the cyber crimes. Your lucid presentation has helped the participants to understand the nuances of cybercrime, safeguard against such frauds by implementing cyber securities and the cyber laws. We are extremely grateful to you for your insightful address. I am sure, sir, that this interaction and safety tips that you have shared with us will go a long way in reducing the cyber crimes and will also enhance the confidence of the common man in this digital era on the police department to track the wide variety of crimes and the criminals. On behalf of Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, I wholeheartedly express my deepest appreciation and profound gratitude to CA Sachin Patil, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Cybercrime Cell Police, for accepting our invitation and sharing a valuable insight on the subject. I once again request you all to give a standing ovation to the learned speaker with a loud round of applause. Thank you, sir.
As I said, it was a homecoming for me.
We are also proud that the chartered accountant is working. It's a different thing. And then